सैमुअल जो है एक इजरायली नागरिक है और वो भारत में धर्मशाला में त्रिउंड ट्रैक पर गए थे और फिर अचानक कुछ ऐसा हुआ कि वो नीचे गिर गए। वो इंद्राहर पास के आगे निकल गए थे और उसके बाद वो गिर गए और 9 दिन तक उनका कुछ अता पता नहीं था। उन 9 दिनों में सैमुअल ने कैसे क्या खाया, कैसे उन्होंने अपना गुजारा किया, रातों में वो कैसे रहा करते थे और कैसे वो उस जगह से निकलकर बाहर आए और एक गांव थाड़ी गांव में पहुंच गए और कैसे फिर वहां के लोगों ने उनकी मदद की, उनकी पूरी कहानी आज हम आपके बीच में रखने की कोशिश करेंगे। हाय सैमुअल, वेलकम टू समाचार फर्स्ट, and we're going to talk about your story of how you survived during those long 9 days. So my first question to you is, what exactly were you eating during those 9 days?
Well, I started to explore what was around me,
Yeah.
and I started to eat bugs. I started to eat ladybugs, caterpillars, beetles, anything that was alive that is around me, because every time I was hiking, I had to take breaks. So every 20 seconds, I had to sit down, and when I sit down, there'd be many bugs climbing all over me, and I would just pick anything on my body, ants. I would just, at that point, I didn't care anymore. I knew I needed energy, I needed protein, and I needed to survive.
Weren't the nights, like when it comes to nights, how were you keeping yourself warm, and weren't the nights lonely?
Yeah, so something interesting about what I went through is like the nights felt like they were forever. The nights felt like it was like 1 week. It was so long, the nights, and I would be laying down and I would watch the full moon go over me. And when the full moon disappeared, I knew it was another 4 or 5 hours of night. How did I stay warm? I just used the clothes that I had and I just curled up like a baby just to keep my warmth.
So, for the 9 days again, you did not see any human?
I did not see one human in 9 days. I was really surprised. I thought, there's 1.4 billion people in India. I have to see one human or one shepherd. But no, nothing. For 9 days, I did not see one human. At one point, I thought I saw a shepherd, but I think I was hallucinating. I think I was starting to hallucinate sometimes. Yeah.
So, circling back to how you actually got yourself into that situation, as far as we know, you were trekking, you were on the Triund trek, and you had crossed the Indrahar Pass. So, what exactly transpired after that?
So I was at the snow line in Triond,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to just be like a very simple hike, 1, 2 hours. And I went with a small group of people, and we started hiking up the glacier towards the Indrahar Pass. We didn't get to the pass. We went like maybe 75% up. And then a huge blanket of cloud and fog came over. It almost was like when you're flying in an airplane and you're looking down, all you see is a blanket of cloud.
Yeah.
I could not see down anymore. I could not see the direction of how to get down anymore. Everything was blocked by a cloud. So it got me very disoriented, and I decided to go hike to the right of where I was. I started climbing boulders and rocks to I got to a point, and I was with a group of Indian friends, and we somehow got separated, and I tried to call for them, and they didn't I didn't hear them anymore, and we tried to meet at a certain point. There's a temple there, but I couldn't find the temple. It was very heavy fog, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna go back to base camp. All I have to do is go right, go down the mountain again, and it'll be fine. So I did that. I went down the mountain, I hit a cliff. I couldn't go down. So I hiked back up, I went left, I went down again, another cliff. I did that 2 times. I was, at that point, I was very disoriented. I couldn't see below me anymore. I couldn't see where was where. And it was starting to get sunset, close to sunset, and I think I was getting a little bit more anxious and nervous. I really wanted to get down. So I started to look for ways to get down. I started to kind of maybe make a little bit more risky moves with my steps. I started to jump rocks,
Yeah.
to try to see if there's a pathway down. And on one of the jumps, I slipped and I just fell for like 4 seconds straight down the mountain cliff, and I landed, and I was conscious, and
You were conscious?
I was conscious. And the first thing I thought to myself was, I made a little joke. I was like, okay, that's one way to get down the mountain. But then I looked at my arm. I saw that my arm was broken. I tried to stand up. I couldn't stand up. I was in so much pain. So I decided to just sleep there for that night on the side of the mountain. And I slept there that whole night. It was a very long night.
You spoke about how you tried and climbed down,
Yeah.
right? And you were like jumping across the cliffs. So all this while the clouds were there and you couldn't see?
Yeah, I absolutely could not see anything down. It was very confusing. It didn't make sense to me. Like I'm pretty logical person, and I just tried to go back the way I came, but like I kept on hitting a dead end, and the fog was so intense, the cloud was so intense. You could not see down. It's just like completely lost.
Yeah.
You know.
So you mentioned that when you fell, your hand was broken and you had other injuries as well, and your leg was in pain and you had several other injuries.
Yeah.
And then, like with all of that, in that state, you spent the next 9 days, and you did not even know that if it's just 9 days or it could be longer, right?
I mean, I had absolutely no idea how long this whole experience would be. When I woke up in the morning, the first thing I thought was like, I need to save myself. I need to save myself. Like I felt like I couldn't rely on anyone coming to find me. I didn't know how long it would take to find me, and I
Yeah.
didn't know when it would start to find me. I just didn't know. Like I had no idea. And my initial survival instincts was like, I need to get down the mountain as soon as possible, straight to the river to get water. And that's what I did. I don't know how I climbed down the cliff with broken arm and broken legs. I was literally scaling down the mountain with only my left hand. I couldn't use my right hand. And the doctors say they don't even understand how I did it, because like most people couldn't even walk with the injuries that I had. But I think I had so much willpower to survive, and I had adrenaline going through my body, and I think I wanted to live, and I figured out. Honestly, I could have died a million times the way I was going down the mountain. There were so many ways I could have died, and it's kind of a miracle that I'm here. So I scaled down the mountain with one hand and broken bones.
Yeah, so I also want to understand, like, when exactly did the realization hit? Like, you fell and then you were there and you knew that it's night and you have to spend the night here, and then in the morning you'll see what has to be done. So, was it in the morning, or was it after you had, like, walked a few miles or climbed a little bit, that you realized that, okay, like, I'm stuck somewhere where there are no humans, and, like, I don't see the end of this. So, when did that realization come?
Well, there was no humans from the very beginning when I fell, so um, I think once I started to go down the mountain, and you know this is something that you have no idea how many days it's gonna take to get out. I thought that maybe I would run into a shepherd, or I would run into other hikers, like something to save me, but I had to get into I had to focus, and I had to get to a state of mind that I have to rely on myself right now, and I couldn't. My challenge was like, what's ahead of me now? Like, I have to get down this rock. I have to get down to the river. I have to get around this tree. How do I not fall and break my leg again? I was zero focused on the challenge ahead of me, and that's the only way I could handle this situation. Once I got down the mountain and I had to pass through a glacier. I got to a glacier. I had to hike up the glacier, and I slipped and I was sliding down the glacier like 50 meters. I almost got hurt. Somehow I stopped the sliding, so I had to trek over glaciers before I got to the river. And once I got to the river, I was able to drink. And I don't know. I think like day 3 or day 4 or day 5, it's like you start to get to a rhythm. Like I had to be like a scientist to explore what I can eat. I started eating plants. I started trying bugs. I started pulling plants and biting the stems of the plants to suck the water from the plants. I was in total survival mode and totally trying to be connected with God and the natural environment around me and how the animals are. And I tried to be calm, and I think I like to share this, but like I think what really helped me and kept me alive is I really tried to I tried to generate so much self love for myself, to generate so much compassion and so much gentleness and kindness for myself. I was giving myself compliments every time I can move 10 meters, and I sat down. I said, "Good job, Sam. Good job, Sam." I was trying to be like a mother and a father to myself through this process. I was never negative. I was never negative. I tried to keep a very positive outlook, and I think the positive love that I was able to give to myself helped me keep on going.
So that's what my next question, rather curiosity, was about. That how, did you have any prior training in tackling all these situations? Because even the thought of being stranded can like do weird things to a person.
Yeah.
But like you survived all of that, and now that we see you're always smiling and you're like this. So did you have any prior training during before this incident, or is it this incident that it has changed you?
Well, I think I've always had a very strong willpower, energy inside of me that I can
Yeah.
never fully explain. And I think this experience really tested me, and it brought out the full power and willpower that I'm capable to do in this life. Um, I never had any training. I never did the military. Um, However, like before I came to India 2 months ago, I did do some trekking in Nepal. I did about 200 kilometers of trekking in Nepal, and that's when I realized how fit I am. Um, when I was younger, I was a gymnast. I was being trained for Olympics, so I think my acrobatic gymnastic skills with my body probably helped me maneuver around rocks and go down cliffs.
But I'm sorry, I'm cutting you, but I think none of that could have helped if like you were not mentally very strong-willed, and as you said, you generated a lot of self-love.
Yeah.
I believe it is all of that, like your personal willpower and all of that, which actually let you put to use everything that your body knew,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like
Do you agree with that?
yeah, I think the to generate the amount of self love, I try to take all the love that exists in the world and bring it into my soul, and not to have one negative thought. And I talk to my legs, I talk to my hands like they were children. I said, "It's okay. We're here together. We're gonna be fine. I know it hurts, but we're working together as a team." Like I really broke down my body into like family parts. I was talking to my body, and I think to generate the strong love, and it's really what kept me super calm, like in a zen meditative state. I was very calm. I had to be calm,
Yes.
because every step was so important. Every step was like chess. I had to calculate every rock, because if I fell, I can hurt my body again. I fell on my arm, my broken arm, multiple times. It really hurts, but like I had to be really slow, and I was walking like a grandfather with a cane, like very slow. Sometimes in one day I could only do like maybe a few hundred meters.
Okay, so I'm sure our viewers are really curious about how you finally, came out of all of that situation. But before that, I have one more question to you, which is, were you thinking about your family, friends, and
Yeah, I think the first few days I was thinking about my family and my friends, and also like thinking about how can I fall, like how can I allow this to happen. I was kind of getting critical about myself and negative about myself, but starting once I realized that this is gonna take longer than I expected, like day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, I realized that like I can think about my friends and my family when I get out of this situation. So I was really from like day 5, day 6, 7, and beyond. I was really focused on what I had to do every morning and where I was strategically planning how I would get down the mountain, which paths I would follow. I was also following the paths of the animals. Animals create highway systems in the forest, and I was trying to follow the path of the animals as much as possible because they know much better than me.
Yeah.
And there was no trails, there was no human trails. So, yeah, I was really focused on being present in the forest with what I needed. I could not think about too much about the outside world.
Yeah. So, as kids here in India, there's a channel called Animal Planet, and we all watch it here. I don't know if you've watched it, and there was a guy who used to do this show called Man versus Wild, and like he would go to like difficult terrains, and he would eat weird things like insects and birds eyes and all of that.
Yeah.
To get water, he will like try to get water out of a bird's eyes,
Yeah.
squeeze it and drink it. Sometimes he would also drink his own pee.
Yeah.
And all of that. But all of that, watching all of that was exciting to us because he had a whole crew with him. He had a camera person with him. He had all the gadgets. But when all of that has to be done the way you did it, in a survival mode with your survival instincts, I think it's a totally different story, right?
I mean, obviously, it's completely different. If he was surrounded by staff and assistants,
Yeah.
like he's
It
not.
was like a show.
Yeah, he's not. Mine was not a show. Mine was real life. This is
Yeah.
real life. This is
It
like.
was survival.
This is really
Life or death.
This is really happening to me. This is not a dream. This is not a movie. This is not a TV show. This is happening, and I need to deal with this situation the best as possible. I think I used my common skills, my intellect, my knowledge about nature,
Yeah.
and I did drink my own pee. For 2 days, I was drinking my
Yeah.
own pee. I had to, or I wouldn't survive. And so yeah, I think it's a different situation.
Yeah. So, okay, now coming to the point where you actually, reached, if I'm not wrong, Thadi village.
Yeah.
And that is where you saw the humans right after 9 days for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
So, what was that moment like? And how did you actually discover that village? And what was the reaction of the people there when they saw you?
Well, like I think from like day 5 or day 6, I was able to see the temples. This village has a lot of temples,
Okay.
so I was able to see it from a distance, maybe like a few kilometers away. So I was really focused to going in that direction because that was the way out of the mountain. That was the way of the path of the river. So I just zeroed in on that area because that was the only civilization I can see. So eventually, by day 9, I got closer and closer to that village, and I was kind of shocked. I saw 3 people at the temple across from me on the river, and I just started screaming for help, for help, for help, and eventually we started to do like a conversation back and forth. Like, thank God they spoke English, and I said, please call the police, please call anyone, help me, and they told me, stay there, and it was like the first time. It was such a overwhelming experience to see people.
Did you also shed some tears in that moment?
I only started to cry when the people sent 2 local villagers, to come up the mountain, to come get me, and I looked up and I saw 20 meters the 3 guys. That's when I first started crying, because it was the first time I realized I'm not alone anymore, and that was very. It felt really good to have that feeling, after 9 days.
Yeah. And then how did you reconnect with your family? What was the situation? Because 9 days you were there and you were fighting your battle,
Yeah.
but I think your loved ones were also, they were also very clueless about how things are.
Yeah, like I think my family only found out maybe 3 to 4 days after I was missing, maybe 3 days after I was missing. So um, my family was amazing. My sister created a massive GoFundMe campaign, and she got this story on the media in America, on national news, and then in Israel. My cousin from Israel organized to hire a Israeli search operation that hired a helicopter to look for me. Unfortunately, the helicopter was flying on the peak at 4,000 meters, and I was down below 2,000 meters. I thought it was tourist helicopter at first. I didn't think it was for me because you know. Um, so yeah, my family really, you know, I think just as I was able to create so much energy and love to survive, my sister, my cousin, my family did the same. And I think the whole community here in Dharamsala, the local Indian community was amazing. People, volunteers searching for me. It was overwhelming experience. I only found out, of course, when I got out, how many people were looking for me. Because honestly, I was so focused on surviving, like I just couldn't think about anything else, you know.
But had you not shown so much self love, the love from outside would have never reached you, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like it's connected, you know, like we there's so much, the world is a little bit chaotic right now, and there's so much pain and suffering.
Yes.
And I think I kind of feel like the amount of love I was able to create for myself was being resonated outside, and it was being, people were receiving it, and it was, the energy was passing around. And I think it's an amazing example of how powerful we can be as a people if we come together, how powerful if we choose love, you know, like we have so much, there's no limitations on what we can do as a people.
Yeah.
And I think I think maybe my story and me being able to survive, first of all, allowed me to survive, but I think it gave hope to a lot of people around the world that, you know, we have so much power. We can do so many positive things in this world. You just need to believe in yourself, and most importantly, you need to love yourself and stop attacking yourself and stop being critical with yourself, because you know what? It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
So, how, you are currently in Fortis Hospital, Kangra.
Yeah.
How are they taking care of you well? Are you happy here? What is your progress like?
Fortis Hospital has been extremely helpful, extremely kind. I'm getting amazing service here. Everyone has been so kind and so loving. It's been, I feel honored to be here for my recovery right now.
What is your progress, and like what is the condition right now, your
Yeah.
physical condition?
Yeah, so I have a broken arm, I have like fractured knee, and I have a fractured leg. Tomorrow I'm gonna do my surgery in my arm.
So your procedures will begin tomorrow?
Yeah, begin tomorrow, yeah.
Okay.
And then in a week I'm gonna do surgery on my knee, and then I'll be discharged. My father's coming from America to
Okay.
come visit me.
Okay. And I know the answer to this question. I was about to ask, will you do trekking in the future? I'm sure you will.
Of course I will, but I will be much more
More
careful. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a message for people? You've already given many messages for people who might want to, see your experience as a message or a learning. There's already enough being said. But if you were to give a message in one line to the world, what would it be? Since you've seen death up close.
Well, I didn't see death up close, but I was maybe playing with death, maybe a lot.
That's one way to put
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I think the message is like, never give up on yourself, you know? Never give up on yourself, and really, like, try to love yourself as much as you can in this life, because it's a short life. and you don't need to suffer as
Yeah.
much as you do. You know, you really you really don't deserve to suffer as much as you do, and just choose love and try to find love for yourself and be very kind and compassionate with yourself when you make mistakes or if you fall. You know, be compassionate and kind to yourself. It's life will be so much better, I think.
Right. So, towards the end, just a brief introduction about you. Where are you from in Israel,
Yeah.
and how did you end up in India?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in California,
Okay.
San Francisco, California, and I moved to Israel 15 years ago. Um, and I've been living in Israel since then. And I left Israel about a year ago due to the war in Israel. I felt like I needed to take care of my trauma that I had from the war. And I felt like India was a very great spiritual and welcoming place for me, and I did a lot of healing here in India, and I never imagined it would end like this. You know, after doing so much therapy, and I did breath work, you know, and I did trekking, but like it's God works in very funny ways,
it's
and
life.
yeah, it's life, and I guess I'm still trying to understand this interesting twist to the end of my
Universe always, has its own surprises planned for you.
yeah, this interesting surprise, but I think I'll understand it.
Okay, so I'll just end this whole thing on this last note. Has this whole experience changed you? And is it for better?
I think everything that happens to you is for the better. Like as much pain as I am in right now, you know, you have the opportunity for growth, and I think I'm gonna learn so much from this experience about being humble, having humility, never forgetting to believe in yourself, and never forgetting to like love yourself and to love others.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson here. You know, sometimes our lives are so fast, and then boom,
Yeah.
stop. And I think like this, I'm not used to stopping like this. I like to be moving, and I think I'm in a position now where I have to pause. I have to stop and take a break, and I have to
Introspect a little,
Yeah,
meditate a
yeah.
little, go into that zone a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because I'm always very introspective, you know. I didn't need to fall off the mountain to get more.
Maybe that's what you think, but the
Yeah.
universe thinks
Yeah,
differently.
I think the universe wants me to get more introspective,
Yeah.
more deep,
Yeah.
more
Maybe
deeper.
the universe wants you to write a book.
Maybe we'll see,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Right. Thank you, Samuel, for speaking with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so
Please,
much.
and we at Samachar first, and in India, everybody's wishing for your recovery, and we want to see you hit the road again. So all the best for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So you just heard Samuel, and the one advice that I am taking from him today with me is, don't be hard on yourself. Be easy on yourself. Even if you fall, sometimes you can always get back up if you love yourself enough. Sometimes the fall can be 2,000 meters deep,
Yeah.
but then still you can get back up if you have enough faith in yourself and you can love yourself in
Yeah.
all those situations.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.